Math 140, Week 7. This is the second edition, normal distributions and bell curves. In the first edition, we solved the problem A right here. I was talking about sketches where we have the graph with the z-scores on the bottom. And if you recall, I did this when I graphed the minus 1.85, and we looked it up in the chart. This time, let's do the z is less than 1.6. Before, the first thing we had to do was sketch that z-score. So I'm going to just draw it in. 1.6 is going to get bigger here. Is bigger than 0. Once again, how come I get 0, 1, 2, 3, and minus 1, minus 2, minus 3? That's how the graph always works. You don't go by 5s, 10s, anything. It's just 1, 2, 3. So I know 1.6 is roughly right about there. I know I'm less than, so I'm going to color less than that line, like here. And before I even look at that chart and all those decimals and everything, I can just look at that and say the percentage, the P, the probability of the colored in part of this graph, I don't know, about 80%, 90%. It's a lot of the graph. But how do we find out exactly? We go to this chart. Remember, I'm thinking like 80, 90, a big percentage. What have I got to do? I got to find the Z 1.6. All right, that's positive. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say, oh, there's 1.6, but there's nothing after the 6, so I'm going to look in the 0 decimal. See where they crisscross right here? I get 0.9452. Or we can convert that to 94%. Remember, that sounds about right given what I was talking about before. And look at this is talking about the left-hand side. So it all matches up. This is to the left in the picture. It's a big percentage, like 95%, 94%. I think the less than, the left-hand side, the 94.52, it all matches up. It all matches up. If you check that first video again, watch what happens because we found the percentage, but it didn't match the picture. We had to do the 100 minus. All right, I think we got part B. You look up 1.6 in the chart, you get a percentage, and you draw a little sketch so it all matches. All right, so far so good. However, part C on the homework is, well, there's a little bit of wrinkle here because now I got two z-scores going on. We can use the same sketch, but I have two different z-scores. Let's see what's going to happen. I have a z that's in between those two z-scores. So remember, first thing, draw the z-score. I'll draw the first one, the minus 1.2. I draw that in, and I'll draw the second one, the 1.6. And the z is in between those, so I'm going to color it up in between. So it's a little harder for me to estimate, but I don't know, maybe that's about half the graph, maybe 50, 60, I don't know, maybe up to 70% of it's colored in. I'm just guessing right now. But we can find out using the chart. So the first thing we're going to do is we will get to the chart, and what was the first z-score? Minus 1.2. Okay, that's negative, so we're over on this side. Where's my minus 1.2? Here's that row. There's nothing after the 2, so I'll go to the 0 decimal, and I got, okay, 11%. Remember, that's just one part of it. We've got a ways to go. 11%. So 11% is on the left-hand side, Okay, that's 11%. You'll notice that's not what I'm looking for, but we got to do a bunch of steps before we find that middle part. Okay, what was the second one? 1.6. That's a positive, so I go over here. There's a 1.6 row. Nothing after the 6, so I just go in that 0 crisscross. Hey, I think I've seen that number before, like 2 minutes ago. 94%. All right, that's to the left-hand side, so from this line to the left is 94%. All right, so we got to piece it together. This is 94, but there's that, let's see, that 11% that I didn't want that we found in the first part. So you see what I did there? I just did a little subtraction from the 94 minus that 11. Basically, you're looking up those two z-scores and you're subtracting them. All right, so I can do that subtraction. That's simple enough. I get 83%. You never find this number on the chart. You had to find these two and then subtract. But 83% is my final answer. Okay, that makes sense looking at this graph. The majority is filled in and just little bits on the edge are not filled in. So either way, from between video 1 and video 2 now, you've seen how to find 3 different z-score probability problems using the chart. There's one last video coming up. I'll either post it later today or first thing on Saturday during the weekend. But stay tuned for that, and that will get you all the way through homework number 7.